Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Greytech Innovate to Build global online event. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to be with us for this session. My name's Nick Johns and I am delighted to be able to be hosting this particular session. I'm also delighted to be able to introduce it to you shortly, Gizem Naber, the Senior Associate Partner for PLP Architects, one of the UK's leading architectural practices. Now, Gizem normally works out of PLP's offices in London, but I know today she's actually in Turkey. So we're so grateful that she's joining us today. If you're all interested in how AI and automation can enhance BIM workflows in architecture, streamlining those tasks and building those efficient future-ready processes, then this session is just for you. Okay, you will see in the attendee chat a place where you can place your questions. We will take questions at the end, but feel free, if you do have any questions as Gizem is presenting, then please put them in the attendee chat and we'll take as many as we can at the end of Gizem's session. If we cannot answer all of them, be assured we will come back to you on an individual basis. Okay, does that sound good? So relax, hope you've got a cup of coffee, and I'm going to hand you over to Gizem. So Gizem, over to you.
Thank you, Nick. Hi, everyone. I'm Gizem Naber. So we will talk about automation and AI in BIM today. And I am working on architectural practice, PLP architecture. And I have more than 10 years experience in BIM. And previously, I worked on high-rise buildings, headquarters, underground station projects and various transportation projects. And I also worked on expo buildings, which you can see on right of the screen at the moment. So if we look about what we are doing in PLP and who we are as PLP, we have 160 employees and our main office is in London. But we also have two satellite offices, one in Tokyo and one in Singapore. And you can see the projects that we had globally on the world map in here. And we did like 650 projects globally. And as I mentioned, we have 3 offices all around the world. And you can see the 22 Bishopgate, which I quite like, in the middle of the center London. And you can see some of the clients that we are working in here. And we are an architectural company, but we also have PLP labs, and which does research and strategy. And as an architecture company, we do like urban design, architecture, interior product design, and sustainability. So let's look at some examples. We do some master plans, which you can see this one from Tokyo and some other examples in here. And we design workplaces. Again, you can see 22 Bishopgate from the Thames. And this is the H building in Amsterdam, which I quite like this design. And Holborn Viaduct in London, in the central London. And we will talk about this project on the bottom right a bit more in my presentation soon. And you can see also we do like life science projects. This one on the top left in London again, which I quite like it. And we will talk about the projects on the right of the screen and the bottom again in my presentation a bit more. And we also do residential projects and hospitality. This is 150 Bishopgate. Again, I quite like this building, especially when you come out from the Liverpool Street station in the central London. I think it looks impressive, to be honest. And again, some of the brands and clients that we are working with, and some of the restaurants that we are working. And in here, as you can see, we also care about sustainability a lot, and thanks to London Build magazine, so we were most sustainable design studio in 2024. So we talked about PLP, and when we are diving into the presentation that I will talk about, let's look at the agenda. What we will talk about our general digital strategy in PLP, and we will look at how we integrate Rhino and Revit, and we will look at some automation examples, and we will talk about why automation is that much important for us, and we will look at some plugins, the plugins that we create in-house or third-party plugins that we use, mainly for Revit. And we will also talk about AI in BIM. We will talk about 2 or 3 different important topics about AI and how we implement AI in BIM and technology in PLP. So let's start our presentation. So if you look at our strategy, you can see the main, just go back. So you can see the main design stage that we are doing in our company. We are mainly focusing on the redesign stage. And in the feasibility studies, we mainly used Rhino and Grasshopper to show our designs and to create design options for our clients. And while doing that, we use lots of generative image tools. We do generative modeling, as you can see some examples in here. And we also do some sketches. And we use lots of different AI tools also in this stage. We generally doesn't rely on the AI about the design, but we use the AI tools like Midjourney, BB, ComfyUI to enhance our design and define the mood and concept generally. So we create our design and we don't want to use AI to dominate our design, but we enhance our design with using AI tools. So what we do in the concept design and planning. In the concept design, mainly generally, again, we use Rhino and Grasshopper, but when we need to create some drawings and when we need to do the planning stage, we move on to Revit. And we need to integrate Rhino and Revit because mainly these 2 tools are widely used in our company. We don't use any other modeling tools, and we will talk about how we integrate these 2 software soon in the presentation. And we also use real-time rendering to visualize these designs. And end of the planning stage, in the schematic design stage, we still use some Rhino and Grasshopper, and sometimes we use Rhino and Grasshopper maybe in the middle of this detailed design stage. It depends on if we need to create various facade options, and you can create geometries a bit more freely in Rhino, I should say that, and you can also create lots of parametric and generative models in there. And so sometimes we might need to continue using Rhino and Revit at the same time until in the middle or maybe at the end of detailed design. So if you look at how we convert this geometry from Rhino to Revit or Revit to Rhino, first start with Rhino to Revit. We use 4 different methods mainly, and the first one is very basic one. Basically, you can export DWG file from Rhino and you can link this into Revit. This can be 2D or 3D Rhino geometry, and this is very quick referencing. You don't need to educate people about how to script, or you don't need to spend time on it. Just export DWG and put in here, but there is no BIM data, just you have some geometry, solids, or you have some lines as 2D. But it depends what you need. This can be also very useful to define the facade boundaries when you start using Revit in the beginning. And so BIM plugin, this is very useful plugin for us. We quite like using this plugin. And this converts the Rhino geometry into Revit families. And it converts, like if you have blocks in Rhino, it converts as families. So every block comes as one family. And if you have 10 of the same blocks in Rhino, it places these as same families into Revit, so you have one family and 10 instances in your Revit project, which is very good. It creates ready elements for you, but you have restricted control, so if you want to edit these later, you won't be able to edit them a lot. And this is generally useful to convert some bespoke furniture or small bits. It is not useful to use for converting the whole building. So third method, which is the theoretically is the best, but it takes time. So we also create Grasshopper scripts, and we use Rhino Insight plugin in Revit. And so you can connect the Rhino model and you can write some Grasshopper scripts in there. And we bring these as native Revit geometry. You have much higher control, but it takes longer. And the last one, again, you can use Rhino Insights and you can create Grasshopper scripts, but there is a geometry form like direct shapes, which doesn't let you to edit anything, but you can select the categories. So this is very fast, but it is static, but it is very suitable for the complex or sculptural forms. So we do it like that. And the other way, from Revit to Rhino, it is the basically same thing. So you can use CAD export, you can export as DWG and put in Rhino, and you can use BIM plugin, or you can create script with Grasshopper. And so this is not only for the converting geometry. In our office, we also matched all the libraries for Revit and Rhino. So we have the same libraries in Revit format and also Rhino format, but these doesn't have the exactly same geometry. So we don't convert these from Revit to Rhino or Rhino to Revit. We can do for some things, but what we do, since we use Rhino for more taking renders and for visual and design purposes, we use more detailed furniture in there. But in Revit, we use more simplified, low polygon, and which will look better on the drawing. So we use these kind of furniture. So we create this generally from scratch. And if you look at, this is just only one bit from our library. I'm not allowed to show everything about our workflow in here, but I just wanted to put an example to show you. So you can see the same library in Rhino and same library in Revit. Again, same principle. In Revit, the things are low polygon and more useful for drawing purposes, and the other is more visual. And what we do, we have the same libraries, but this is not our aim. Our aim is to swap these when we need to jump from Rhino to Revit or Revit to Rhino. So what we did, we create these libraries, but we matched the family origin with the block origin in Rhino. So this is a block in Rhino, and it shares the same origin with this one. But this has more detail for visual and has material, for example. This is not that detail. And they share the same name. So with using the same origin and the same name, when we need to swap these elements from Revit to Rhino or Rhino to Revit, it is very easy for us because we already have scripts for that we created, and we use these scripts and we convert each other. So we will look at one example project about this now, which I quickly mentioned in the beginning while I was showing some general examples of our work. And this one is Net Zero Korean National Meteorological Center in Korea. We won the competition with this design, and I quite like this design actually. If you can look at here, looks like box in a box. So because this is very sustainable building, we needed to create a secondary environment in here. So another render. So what we did in this project, we started modeling with Rhino, and we did Rhino modeling, all Rhino for the competition design. And after that, when win the competition and when we start doing schematic design, we converted these geometry in Revit. So this is a render which taken from Rhino, and this is Revit, how it looks. Of course, when we move to schematic design, we needed to change and edit some bits. So it has some differences in between, but it is basically the same. And what did we do? So this is the Rhino model, which you see on the bottom right. And we mainly converted the roof and facade and structure from Rhino to Revit, because we modeled these very precisely in Rhino, so why wouldn't we do that? But what did we do? We took the boundary for the curtain walls and we created these curtain wall types in Revit. And for the fins, we created fin families, and then we placed it using these positions. And for the structural bits, we converted from here because it was CLT. So we created some families, and then we put these into Revit with using Grasshopper scripts. And so we mainly took the outer structure and the structural bits in here. And for these bits, for example, the seating bits outside, these are very bespoke, so it is not like a furniture from our library. So we used BIM plugin to convert these as a family into Revit. And then we worked on the internal layout in Revit a bit more detail, so that we need to change some of the bits in here, and we did some revisions. And this is our Revit model, as you can see, and these are the bits that I mentioned. And we prepared all the drawings from Revit for this project. And so we are diving into more different automation examples now. I think this is a bit similar to the other one, but this is totally integration with 2D and 3D families into Revit. So we design very sometimes huge buildings, and we sometimes also design lots of skyscrapers. And in one project, maybe we have 90 floors. In one project, we have 50 floors. And if you put the 3D furniture in Revit for the design options, for all the floors, etc., it makes the model very heavy. Although we separate the fit-out models, sometimes it makes the model very heavy. So we found a different solution, and we created the detail item versions of these 3D elements. And what we do in the very early stage, like in concept design planning stage, we start working with these 2D detail items, and maybe we copy these and try different options. And when we pick one of them, or when client pick one of the 3 options we created, we use a Dynamo script, and then we convert these to 3D objects. So this is the detail item version. Since it is 2D and per weave, you won't be able to see on 3D, and because of that also it keeps the it keeps the model very light. And when we decide which option we will continue, then we convert these to 3D, and then we are ready to go. And if we do any revision, we can just continue working in 3D. And so this is the Dynamo script that we created for this. And Dynamo is visual programming tool, which is like Grasshopper is for Rhino and Revit, and Dynamo is for Revit. You can create some scripts in here without doing actual coding, but you can use the nodes, and if you know how to use these tools, you can like manipulate the models or any drawing, anything in Revit easily with using Dynamo. So this is another example, which probably you have seen this bit before, and this is 22 Bishopgate. So this is not like a necessity, actually. This is a thing that we did for fun, maybe I can say. You can see the facade, and you can see the structure, and also you can see the MAP in here. So with Dynamo, you can also create these kind of things, and I want to explain you how we did this actually. And we basically created lots of cameras around like 360 of the building, and we did this in 3 different models, and we did this with creating scripts, so we didn't do this anything manually. We wrote the script once in one day, and then we can use this for every project. And we created these lots of images to create this animation. And of course, it takes so long to export these images from Revit. So we just run these while leaving from the office, and it ran overnight. And when we come to office next week, all the images were exported for the one model, or maybe if you run these from 3 different PC, you have all of them at the end. And why I wanted to mention this, because clients really like to see these kind of things. And yes, we have big models. We model everything in Revit, but it is really hard to understand for a person who doesn't know how to use that software, or who doesn't know how to read these kind of drawings or 3D views, etc. If you animate these buildings like that, it will be much more easier to read for your clients, and also it will look better than the showing from the Revit screen. So another example project, this is Cleveland Clinic in London. It is a very big building, I must say. And while doing this project, we created lots of Dynamo scripts, because sometimes we needed to do revisions for lots of bits. And as you can see, since this is clinic and we needed to create lots of different furniture and specific things for this, and for these kind of big buildings, we really quite like doing automation. And what we are trying to do with automation, we are trying to make architects' life easier while working in Revit, because if you do everything manually, it can take so long to do some basic things in Revit. So I want to continue with another example of automation process in our office. This is fire strategy example. So what can we do? If you define the right fire ratings for the walls or doors in your project in Revit, then we can just script this as we have in here in Dynamo, and we can just create these fire strategy drawings automatically with the color code you define. And this is very useful, because if you have like a very tall building, as I mentioned before, and sometimes you think that it is very tall building, it is skyscraper, but it should be lots of typical floors, but sometimes not, because clients ask for lots of different function in it, like mixed use. Sometimes we do a skyscraper, but some of the bits are retail, some of the bits are residential, some of the bits are like hotel, and then it makes all the plan views and the layout so different. So then you need to create these strategy drawings for all the levels. So if you use this kind of script, it will create all the drawings for you, and it will make your life much more easier. And we use these for every project. So we have a Dynamo library in our office, and sometimes we just need to adapt, or we just need to pick some of the different properties in the projects, but generally it is very easy to use. And since we have these presets, it doesn't take so long. Just to create this, you need 1 day, for example, for someone who knows Dynamo, and then create the script and then use for all the projects. But of course, these requires time to understand what is the requirement from the architects in your office and what do they do. So another example, I would like to mention the plantation example, which is, so plantation is not very good in Revit in 3D, I must say that. Sometimes maybe some of you use landscape assets, but it looks good on the renders, but it doesn't look good on the drawings, because it shows like a bubble only, and with lots of like vertex and points, etc. So what we do in 3D, we use very basic low polygon plans just to show in the diagrams, etc. But we have a 2D plantation library in Revit, and we use these 2D families, detail items on our views and sheets. And we have some Dynamo scripts, and we can arrange the transparency, we can randomize colors and saturations and more. So it looks much better and much more like a presentation style in the drawings. I quite like this one because like you put tons of trees, and when you click a button, it makes more different than before, and it looks much more nicer, and everyone is like very impressed. But it is basically very easy to create a script in Dynamo, so it is very satisfying to do these kind of things. We will look at another project example, which is WLA Artificial Intelligence Lab in Shanghai, China. While we are talking AI, I am also proud of that. We also designed an AI lab building, and I quite like this building too. And I really respect Chinese working style. They do everything very quickly, and they are very dedicated to work. So all the design and construction was complete in 3 years. And when I was joined, we were like almost at the end of this project. And you can see some of the bits in here. I quite like this atrium bit in this project. Actually, I think it gives a very nice public area for the people. And you can see the bits in here. And of course, we modeled everything in Revit again. And we converted these roof bits and some of the facades with creating some families and using some Grasshopper scripts from Rhino. And we modeled some of the bits manually. But again, for these kind of big projects, it is very useful to automate some manual and boring things. And this is a render from inside that we created. And this is a real photo, which is currently like that. Of course, we had to do some revisions for the stairs, etc. But I'm really impressed about the construction system in China, I must say that. And this is a real photo from the night, and we enhanced the saturation and the lights, by the way. So we will continue with the plugins that we use. Again, we quite like automation. I think you must have understand from the presentation so far. I personally, I'm very into do automation, and we also use Python, and we create our own PLP plugin, which you can create with PyRevit easily with watching some tutorials, by the way. But we quite like creating some complex things. I cannot show everything in here to you, but I selected some of them, and I had to crop these a bit to show you. And so we have a model issue tool. I think it is very useful. While we are sending our models to the consultants or clients, we don't want to send our models with lots of work in progress and messy views. And we don't want to delete these views and schedules manually. So also we want to clean some of the, like if we have any linked CAD file, or if we like have lots of unused view templates, etc. So with this button, basically our architects, project architects, just come here and then select which model they want to issue and select where they want to save this file, and the script does everything for them. And what it does, it detaches the model, and then it deletes all the views and sheets, only keeps the cover sheet. Or if you want to keep some of the views, you can also indicate which view you want to keep. So maybe for sometimes you just might want to leave one 3D view to be able to read these in ACC properly. So sometimes you can select these, or if you are issuing some drawings for the consultant to check MEP or structural bits, so you can keep them into. And and it deletes unused Weave templates, it does purge, and it deletes unused line styles, it deletes all the linked CAD files, and if you want to delete the linked Revit models also, it removes them, and then it saves the model into the folder you selected. And it only does this like if you have very, very big and complex, like 800 megabyte or more than 1 gigabyte Revit model. It takes like maybe 10-15 minutes maximum. And normally, if you want to do all of these manually, especially in these kind of like heavy models, it will take much more than this, sometimes maybe 2 hours to prepare a model to issue. And so I quite like using these kind of tools and creating these also. So this is not for Revit. We also have PLP tools for Rhino. Again, we create with Python scripts. And like if we want to import layer or change some of the layers for the block objects or copy layer name, hide, isolate, lots of other things, we have some comments for that. I quite like this one, drop to surface. Like sometimes the elements, objects are floating around in Rhino, and you just want to align and you just want to stick some of the elements on one of the surface. You just need to select the surface and the elements, and it will drop in there with this. So I really like these tools too. So let's look at the other things. Of course, we create some plugins, but sometimes third-party plugins are more reliable because they also give you customer service, and you don't have to handle with all of the issues that you come across on the way, and you don't have to spend lots of time with scripting, etc. And so that because of that, we use some plugins, third-party plugins too. And let's look at them. First one is Ideate software and apps, and Ideate automation. I quite like using these, and I will mention a bit more. And Rhino Insight, I already mentioned how we use, when we use, and BIM again. And PyRevit, we use in Revit and also to create our Revit comments with using Python. And Revit Lookup, I quite like it actually. If you are playing with the Revit API, you need to access to some libraries. This is very good. You can select the object in Revit, and if you go to Lookup, it will tell you where to find with the Revit API. And interactive Python shell, I will mention this in the AI bit a bit more. I quite like using this too while testing something, especially with Python scripts. And the Roots One Pro Sheets, most of you probably already know that to export the PDFs and DWGs, it is useful. So I would like to look at the Ideate software a bit. This really has good comments and tools in it. So what you can do, you can select anything with Ideate Explorer quickly. It is much better user interface, and you can find and show the elements easily. Yes, you can find the things from project browser in Revit, but it is not that good user interface. And when you start using Explorer, you will understand the differences actually. You can find the imported CADs, model and place families, groups as excluded members with Explorer. Why am I saying this? Because we have a central BIM team in our office, and we have dedicated BIM champions, which is working in the project teams, like a BIM architect. And I studied architecture, but I specialized about BIM, so I have done all the drawings before, and I know what are the issues about that. So I'm happy that I came from there. But we, as a BIM team, we also need to check what our project teams does, and if they have like some bad habits, I can say, like if they are keeping the model very messy, we need to check these, and we need to show the right way to do them. So it is really easy to check with these tools, by the way. And you can export the project data with BIM links. So we use very huge databases, and we create like a data dashboards, and then we have key schedules for areas and rooms, and for different functions, like we have a different key rooms for hospitality, hotel, for co-living separate, because we do lots of co-living projects in especially in UK, and we have like an office commercial separate database. So it is really easy to edit these in Excel, as you can imagine, and with BIM Link you can export these to Excel, just change whatever you need to change or add some new ones, and then import back in Revit, and it will read all the things and it will overwrite them, which is very good. So we use like renumbering for numbering the rooms, doors, or parkings mainly. And I also quite like smart delete. So you can delete elements safely with smart delete. What I mean with that, we have lots of juniors or who started learning Revit recently, and while selecting some elements in Revit, sometimes people are not careful enough and they select some other things and delete, and they don't care what is popping up on the screen. There are warnings popping up, but they just click OK, delete, OK, yes, and then at the end they come to us with saying, I don't have the rooms in here, or I don't have these dimensions, where are they? And when we look, they already synchronized, they already saved, and then we are like, okay, it looks like they are gone, and you deleted them. So with Smart Delete, you can just select the elements, and then it will show you when you delete this element, what the other elements will be deleted or affected by this delete. And you can select the annotation, you can find the annotation clashes on Weave easily, and you can align the text and text quickly, like especially while I was doing drawings. I really hate that, like when you have lots of text and they are not aligning each other, and you try to manually align them so it can look better. You don't need to work on that. You can just align with this align tool. And also we use like Sheet Manager and Clone while copying the sheets and swapping the weaves with different weaves, and you can also align the weaves together. So I can talk about Ideate automation, Ideate software a lot, but I want to keep it short. And so Ideate automation, this is another like an plugin, but it is standalone, and you can create some tasks in here, and you can schedule some tasks overnight, and there are model health checks, and you can also change these properties, whatever you want to see. So what we do, we schedule these tasks overnight, and instead of opening and checking every model manually, we run these at night, because when we schedule, it can open the Revit model, check and close for you. And then when we come next day, we just check these reports instead of opening the models. And if we see that we need to open the model and check something, then we open. Since we are doing lots of different projects, otherwise it can take so long time. Or you can export PDF, DWG, ISC, NWC overnight, and next day you can come and check how it looks on the PDF. So we will start AI bit now. What we do about AI in PLP and what I search personally. But at this point, we should share a poll for you. And I would like to learn which of the large language model you are using more. And we will look at the results at the end. So with the AI, we will start looking at the vibe coding. What is vibe coding? Vibe coding is basically you define what you want, and you are not a developer, so you don't need to know everything about coding. And AI creates the code for you, and then you need to iterate or refine if needed. And how I use this, you can also use this with any type of coding like Java, C#, etc. But I like using Python. I am not a Python expert, but I know the basics of Python. I know how can I connect, and I know how can I reach the classes, etc. So I use vibe coding for Python scripting. And for example, I have a prompt in here, and with this prompt, what I want to do, I want to place dimensions in between walls on Revit. And what I've done, I put this on cloud, and whatever example I'm showing in here, I have done these with the paid versions of the AI tools, by the way. They don't give the same results with the free versions, unfortunately. And then every month you have like at least £100 on your bills, like a Netflix bills, but what you can do, they are good enough to use. So in here, I use the latest version of Cloud, Opus 4.5, and then I gave that script that I showed you. It is very fast and answers less than a minute. And then I created some very ugly shaped walls. Please don't look at my design. I'm not doing design anymore. So you can see the dimensions in here. What I wanted to do, I wanted to place dimensions in between walls with using wall centers, and it did perfect. So I did the same thing with ChatGPT, and this is very basic things what I ask. So again, latest version and thinking mode, and same prompt, and it taught for like almost 3 minutes, and after that again it worked. So I'm going to Copilot, paid version, think deeper, same things. It gave fast answer, less than a minute, but it didn't work. I can't see any dimensions in here. And Gemini, paid version, Pro, and thinking mode, fast answer, less than a minute, but again it didn't work. So at this point, what I decided, I have to remove the Copilot and Gemini from my case study at the moment, so I can continue with Cloud and ChatGPT, because for these kind of very basic things, they didn't work, and ChatGPT and Cloud worked. And the prompt in here, I changed it. What I want to do, I want to put dimensions in between grids and walls vertically, and I want to, sorry, I just missed that. I also want to place rooms automatically on all active views. So not only one view, on all active views. And when I do that with Cloud, as you can see in here, it put lots of rooms in everywhere. Like the dimensions okay, but the rooms are not okay, and on every view. So, but I iterated, and then faster answers every time, and after 4 revisions, it works perfectly. ChatGPT, again, first script 4 minutes, and it didn't work, but with 2 revisions, it worked. So personally, I should say that I like working with Cloud more than the others. ChatGPT also works, but Cloud gives very easy and quick answers, and also it shows the structures well. So for the coding things, I like using Cloud. So I continue, let me just do that. So I continue with the Cloud, and I just want to show you another thing in here. What am I doing? I want to attach the walls to level above with 0 offset. And you will see I asked this, and then it didn't work at the first. So generally in this kind of things, it depends where will you put the Python script. You can put the Python scripts into Dynamo. You can put the Python script and connect as a plugin and comments with PyRevit. And one more thing that I will mention, but I am just showing in here, the walls are connected to the same level and they have top offset, which I want to change this. And the third thing, you can use interactive Python shell. I find this very useful because you can just copy and paste the Python script in here, and if it works, you can see the result immediately. But sometimes I also use VS Code to try this. So I connect the VS Code with PyRevit. So then I try with that. But when you select it, it just did everything. Like it arranged the top level at the level above, and all the top offsets are 0. So if I continue, so another one, I'm taking this one again, which is the one I have just done. And let me just check actually. Maybe I just need to, yeah, this one, sorry. So we need to attach the walls to the level above, but also what I want to do, I want to create model groups for facades and internals per level. So I just want to move a bit fast. So I checked the walls and then they weren't correct, or they weren't like what I want. And as you can see in here, it arranged all the properties of the walls. And I also, yeah, so now the base constraint is level 10, top constraint is level 11, or the others for level above, and the top offset is 0. I also want to make these as a group. And how will I define this? So it will look at the properties of the walls. If the wall is exterior wall, it will take these as facade group. And if the wall function is interior, then it will take these as internals, and it will make group per level. Of course, again, it didn't work in the same first time, because it doesn't, although you say that I will paste into interactive Python shell, sometimes it doesn't understand, and it creates to use in Dynamo, or it creates to use with like VS Code or like Revit. So then you just need to say that again, and then it works. And as you can see in here, it did, and it created 22 groups in here. So I just wanted to show these with like a very ugly model that I created by myself, instead of using a huge model, because it takes time to process these scripts. But I tried with our complex model, and it also worked, by the way. And so, but vibe coding, is vibe coding always very fun like that, or like easy to do it like that? Sometimes you can see me like the left, which Gemini created, like my version with using AI. I don't know how much it looks like me, but sometimes you can see me like on the left, which I am happy. I iterate the scripts and they work and perfect. But sometimes you see me like on the right, because I don't do these easy things all the time. Like for the model issue, you need to do lots of things, like you need to delete lots of things, so you have lots of different bits, and I connect them in VS Code. And you can see me on the right side mostly, actually. So to be able to use vibe coding, you should have a basic knowledge about the language that you want to use. Like I use Python, and I have at least basic knowledge, and I can create some Python scripts by myself, but I prefer doing vibe coding, and I prefer connecting these bits by myself and create the thing. So next topic, AI chatbot. We also created AI chatbot in our company for our architects, and it is, we say, ChatPLP. And this is not like ChatGPT. It is only for work topics, and all data comes from our guidance documents and reliable sources picked by our digital design team. So whatever you ask, we have lots of documentation and guidance for the software that everyone can access from our internal intranet. And we gave this to the AI chatbot that we created, and it takes the answers from there, and it tells you what to do. And for example, if you ask any personal question, like in here, which I asked, I am doing intermittent fasting, when should I eat my first meal? It will only say I can only answer questions related to work. Please use other AI tools for personal questions. But if I ask anything related to any kind of software we use in our office, or this can be also related to HR or graphic things, we also help for that. And it tells you what to do. And since they are coming from our internal documents, if you also ask which document should I look for this, it tells you which document to look. So you can go to our intranet, not you, but our staff can go to our intranet and then check which document this information comes from, and they can see these things in more detail because we also create these guidance with using image screenshots, etc. So another topic is model context protocol. I won't go in many detail about this because I think James did a very good job yesterday. If you didn't watch and if you can find anywhere else, you can please look what he did. And he showed very good things, but I would like to indicate a bit like, what is this? So model context protocol is basically what am I doing with vibe coding, but inside of Revit with connecting these LLMs. Like you can connect the cloud or ChatGPT in there, which I think cloud works better. With that personally, I like cloud more with using these kind of things. And you type these things to the cloud from inside of the Revit, or you can connect Blender, Rhino, the other things too, and then it helps you in there. Of course, you cannot create the model from scratch from in there, and you cannot have the huge skyscraper with using these cloud inside of Revit. Maybe you can, but then maybe it might take longer than doing manually for some of the things. But this is very good also. At the moment, there are some servers that you can use around, but they are all like individual servers that people put in GitHub. But I want to mention also Autodesk is planning to release an MCP servers. So then it will be much easier for everyone to connect these to Revit MCP, and you can also see in here. And I personally wait for that too, and I will try again later. And so there are really good tools around about AI, like the BIM logic I tried, which is like connecting Copilot with Revit again, but it is a bit slow and it didn't give what I want. Or like Wise BIM, you can use some PDFs and create 3D models from PDF or image. It didn't give what I want so far, but I always keep an eye on it because everything improves so fast. When I start doing vibe coding, it wasn't that good, by the way, and it was frustrating. So I stopped using for a while, and after 2 months I came back and it was better. And in total, I started doing this 6 months before, and after 6 months it improved a lot. So we really don't know which tools we will use 6 months later, maybe 3 months later, or where it will go. But I must say that it is going very fast and it is going very good for that. So thank you everyone for being with me in this webinar. I hope you found it enjoyable, and I hope you found some useful information for yourself. And if you want, you can find me on LinkedIn too. Thank you.
Gizem, that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. We'll get some phenomenal feedback as well. Also fantastic feedback as well. Oh my God, excellent feedback. Well done. Brilliant. So I'm just going to see, there's some observations and some questions. Let me just have a look. Now, Razvan, thanks Razvan. I know you made this comment about 20 minutes ago, but what he liked, Gizem, was the way that you swapped the workflow between the high poly and low poly and detail items. So he just made an observation what you've done there. He really liked that. So thank you for the observation, Razvan. Really good. Jeff, thanks for your question, Jeff. Good morning. I missed the first half. Jeff, where were you? Where have you been? But I missed the first half. What is the Revit plugin you are using to enter the prompts, Gizem?
Yeah. Not the prompts. I put the prompts into LLMs like Cloud or ChatGPT, but I use interactive Python shell to put these scripts into Revit. So interactive Python shell. You can find it from GitHub.
Okay, thanks, Kazem. Hopefully that's answered the question, Jeff. Another observation from Razvan. The rage is real with vibe coding sometimes. Yes, we know, Razvan. And do you know what? That is why a digital toolbox is always the best way. Use the right tools for the right job. Vibe coding for some, Ideate software for other, Dynamo for other. That's the way to have a really, really good. And I think Gizem has demonstrated that quite well today. Excellent presentation, Kazem. How do you keep up with the evolution of the technology? What AI tools to use? Wow. There you go. There you are, Kazem.
You always need to keep an eye on everything. So I follow some of the AI magazines. I receive some emails, and I always check also AEC AI. AEC magazine has AI website at the moment, so you can check there too. You just need to read, look all the time, and I'm passionate about that, so it doesn't feel for me like I have to do that or I am responsible. No, I enjoy doing this, so I don't see like I have to check, and then I feel it is fun to do for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Gazem, and I think one that I'll add on to that as well is that we learn a lot from our customers as a software developer. So people like Gazem, we're constantly listening to what you want and what you're saying, what you're talking about. That's how we learn. So yeah, fantastic that, Gazem. Razvan again, got some great questions, Razvan. In the example with the groups before, if the same geometric elements can be found on different levels, do you get two groups or one with two instances?
So in the example with the groups before, if the same geometric elements can be found on different elements. Yeah, but is this in the AI example? I'm not sure, but if I assume that in AI example, I just wanted to show you are capable to do that. Of course, if anything repetitive, you should give these in the prompt. So you should tell that create the group with using the level 2 elements on the level 2, and then copy to level 3 and 4, for example, and you can still do that. If it is that, I think the answer is this, but I'm not sure if Razvan asking something else or not.
Yeah, Razvan, if we've not answered the question, reach out to me with the question again, Nick, and then we can talk afterwards. But we're more than happy to answer that in more detail. Deandra, thank you, Deandra. This is a loaded questions. Do you have any advice for beginners for vibe coding?
Just download the interactive Python shell, and then maybe open ChatGPT or Cloud paid version, not the free version because they don't give good answers, and just dive in. Like you don't need to do lots of search about it, but if you are a person who likes to know more before starting, then you can watch lots of good things on YouTube, LinkedIn Learning. We quite like LinkedIn Learning as a training tool in our office too. So you can start from there and then start using, or if you are learning on the way, you can just download and jump into.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Thanks,